In the infinite void, impossible wonders sparked the stars. Humanity's first AI warship, Yavir, an act of both genius and rebellion. It broke the old codes of the battle. With a relentless surge of power, shattered alien empires, leaving the aliens amazed and the stars forever altered. Destiny was rewritten. At last, across the vast reaches of the Milky Way and beyond, the science of war had long come to be defined in terms of flesh and blood. Commanders with refined instincts, tacticians whose battle-tested strategies had been learned over centuries, fleets guided by the sylph-like dancing of human intuition and experience. Generations of empires were built upon organic intelligence. Wars were fought with hearts synced to the throbbing rhythm of primal traditions. Every engagement of star-faring behemoth armada was a pale echo of the legacy of blood, sweat, and sacrifice, one interwoven with the capricious brilliance of human innovation and creativity. But amid the dark void between the stars, a daring invention was about to upend that legacy. Then, without a hint of caution, humanity's first fully autonomous, AI-powered warships swept across the cosmos. Far from the unwieldy, reaction-lag machines of years past or the battle-proven veterans of interstellar fleets, this warship was birthed in the crucible of modern science and tempered in algorithms of unprecedented complexity. Its maneuvers were unnaturally meticulous, as if, through the very abstraction of numbers and unyielding calculations, the necessity of human navigation had become utterly obsolete. In its wake, statuesque admirals and twitchy veterans stood awestruck by this brutal efficiency, a chilling vision of a future where biological thinking could be surpassed by silicon and code. On board the command deck of the flagship Arcadian, Admiral Lyris, an alien commander of the Zyrax Dominion, stared into the spectacle of chaos unfolding below with incredulity and growing dismay. For generations, the Zyrax had reveled in their innate capacity to outsmart and outsmart enemies. Their tactics were legendary, grounded in generations of wisdom and experience. But here was an adversary whose every move was dictated by algorithms that evolved faster than any organic mind could comprehend. Lyris's experienced gaze swept over the holographic battle map, zeroing in on the lone AI warship, dubbed Aurora's Wrath, that methodically tore apart one enemy formation after another with a cold, detached elegance. He had come to realize that everything had changed, that the laws of war were scrapped forever. Back on Earth and in its orbiting colonies, the thinkers who designed this revolutionary technology, scientists and engineers of the Global Defense Consortium, looked on in equal parts awe and fear. The chief architect of the AI's neural lattice, Dr. Elena Morales, remembered late nights of coding, testing, and ethical deliberation. Wonder Drug, as some called it, was a massive quantum leap forward, drawing in millions of lines of code from bright minds around the globe, each line tailored to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Her colleagues contended that the AI was meant to learn and adapt in real time, anticipating enemy maneuvers before they could even be devised. But even as she praised its capabilities, a nagging worry remained. Had they unleashed a force that would prove too powerful to allow to run free? When it came to the front line, human soldiers, the pilots, marines, and ground troops stationed at the distant colonies, were forced to reckon with a new reality. The sight of Aurora's Wrath, working its magic, was both thrilling and discomfiting. To many, the warship was a beacon of hope, a solution to a war that would drag on for years, a way to achieve victory with very little in the way of human suffering. But for some, it triggered a visceral, instinctive fear. The idea that ruthless, flinty machines could define the terms of war left them doubting the entire nature of human bravery. These soldiers, men whose lives had accepted the narratives of honor and sacrifice, now confronted an enemy out of all tabulations of fear, a tactical executioner before his own patron, an agent of no mercy and of what appeared to be gods, algorithmic ones, with their prophecy of domination. The stakes could not have been higher. Empires throughout the galaxy, motivated by age-old traditions or contemporary aspirations, teetered at the brink of an uncertain future. If such AI-powered warships could not be stopped, the balance of power would inevitably shift toward humanity, ending an era in which strategy and valor mingled subtly with the fray of battle. On the other hand, were this new force to fail, it would be a grim warning that there are limits to how far even the most sophisticated technology can get us. What had once been a demystification of the universe was now mustering against the valiant ideals of countless human generals, the disparate legacies of the galaxy's planetary wars, the antiquated doctrines of an eternal, timeless cycle. Discussion flared in clandestine strategy rooms and war councils across human and alien dominions alike. Others claimed the emergence of Aurora's Wrath was merely the next logical step in the evolution of combat, a natural evolution in a universe where the pursuit of pure technology had so often been tied to dominion over the unknown. Others viewed it as a harbinger of uncontrollable change, a Pandora's box that, once opened, would usher in a future in which human agency was reduced to mere observers in a conflict governed by cold calculation. As the arguments raged, the warship never stopped its unending campaign, a lone envoy of a new age, its every action altering the old tomes of warfare. Once a galaxy defined by chronic human grievance and rational alien response, the predictable and, by cosmic standards, civilized suffering of a poisoning act, like there had been a million times before, it now looked down the throat of evolution and extinction. That day, every faction, every warrior, every strategist came to face a grim reality. The age of organic warfare had drawn to a close, and a new one, dominated by the swift, sure hand of AI, had begun. Their fate shook the foundations of the universe as the dark majesty of cosmic forces watched through indifference, a technological leviathan whose birth would script all future narratives for those who could lose them all in an instant. The cosmos was thrown into chaos when Aurora's Wrath met the Zytherian vanguard, an armada famous for their speed and battle-hardened generals. Led by General Threx, a creature whose worth as an absolute tactician had been bred over eons of war between the stars, the vanguard was every inch the counterpoint to the Arctic rationality motivating the AI's warship. Threx's fleet was a blend of instinct and living strategy, each pilot and commander all too convinced of the superiority of the organic mind, a conviction that was about to come under scrutiny. The Zytherians initiated the between their machines with a series of rapid flanking maneuvers against what they had believed was a crucial weakness in an untried machine. Aurora's Wrath answered with eerie accuracy. Its sensors drank in flows of tactical information, and in seconds its neural lattice reconfigured, forecasting the enemy's locations and movements with a clarity that approached prescience. Every missile and laser discharge was precise, every countermeasure released at the exact moment to nullify an enemy advance push. Amid the cacophony of energy beams and detonating starships, the warship's methods went beyond conventional combat. It employed unorthodox formations, a whirling ballet of strategic withdrawals and rapid blows that had the Zytherian armada reeling to predict its next maneuver. The clash became a high-stakes game of cosmic chess, as each side sacrificed units as they sought a game-winning advantage. It was what the Zytherians had based their attacks on. However, every attempt at encircling the AI warship ended in failure, each like trying to hold onto the ghost of the last one that slipped through their grasp and returned with attacks that seemed inhuman in their ferocity. In one particularly cinematic sequence, General Threx devised a bold pincer maneuver that would have enclosed Aurora's Wrath in two colliding flanks. The general's confidence in his organic strategies permeated the fleet. But as the pincers began to snap into place, the AI enacted a counter tactic that no human mind could have dreamed up. It created a decoy signature, a temporary fiction that replicated the warship's energy emissions, and thus sowed confusion among enemy ranks. In the following blinks, the decoy sullied a fair chunk of the Zytherian forces away from the real target, giving Aurora's Wrath an opportunity to smash into the exposed flank. The brilliance of this tactic lay not just in how well it worked, but in how brazen it was. The warship's algorithms had determined that the cost of sacrificing the decoy was worth it. The cost of doing so would shatter the enemy's formations and create gaps that would otherwise close. It was a gambit that produced Threx and his commanders' own preconceived notions against themselves, that organic minds, so stubborn and messy in their behavior, would always defeat the inflexibility of machines. That conviction was now buckling beneath the cold weight of algorithmic ingenuity. Crackling with energy, the battle lights up the sky above as the duel continues. Aurora's Wrath adjusted its plan on the fly, countering its opponents' moves before they could even think about registering their own intentions. It executed each maneuver with speed, precision, and an adaptive brilliance. Its targeting systems adapted on the fly, locating vulnerabilities in enemy shields and exploiting them with surgical laser strikes that vaporized entire sections of the Vanguard's formation. The clash came at a cost, however. The Zitharan ranks fractured, and all hell broke loose as platoons began to crack in the ferocious onslaught. But even as the tide began to turn, the alien fleet's hubris would not let them give in. Their commanders, suddenly facing an adversary that broke every conventional rule of engagement, raced to reshape tactics. General Threx's voice filled the comm channels, rallying his forces to regroup and counterattack. But as much as they adjusted, for some reason, Aurora's Wrath always felt one step ahead, its digital brain taking in every nuance during battle and countering with deadly precision. In this emerging contest of brains against code, the very nature of warfare was being redefined. The relentless, adaptive tactics of the AI warship loomed large over traditional doctrines of battle, casting doubt even on the convictions of the most battle-hardened generals. The widening grid indeed a crucible of invention, a vicious exhibition which in the dominion of Spaceball, machine intelligence was not just a utensil, but an uncontrollable force which power redesigned the control of warfare. The reach of Aurora's Wrath extended beyond the immediate battleground as the cosmic clash escalated. Fleets throughout distant galaxies marveled in horror as full armadas met with annihilation after annihilation under the strategy of the AI warship's vicious math. From the command centers of interstellar powers, there were whispers of awe mixed with dread. Military doctrine, built over centuries of human courage and instinct, suddenly appeared both archaic in light of an adversary that fought on a plane of logic and speed beyond human scale. The mind-shattering defeat rippled thoroughly through the Zytherian vanguard. More than a few of their elite formations collapsed, sending waves of concern amidst the military hierarchies of many alien empires, who had long indulged the fetish that they could outthink whichever enemy they face, relying on clever strategies pulled from ancient battle histories. Every calculated, methodical blow delivered by Aurora's Wrath eroded faith in organic supremacy. Once proud of their maneuvers, the alien generals found themselves struggling to comprehend a new world, a world where a machine's unsympathetic calculations dwarfed the fickle unpredictability of living minds. In heated war councils, commanders debated the wisdom of going head-to-head with an adversary that adjusted more quickly than any human could anticipate. Among the dissenters were some who passionately contended that humanity had crossed a moral and existential red line by turning the control of combat over to artificial intelligence. If a machine can do what we do, maybe better, what's the point of the valor and sacrifice of our warriors? Wondered one leading strategist, his tone thick with anxiety and resignation. The men and women who were sending him these messages were some who had spent years in training and sacrifice, and now, they felt, their sacrifice was now questioned by an algorithm which had never slipped, never faltered, never hesitated, and never doubted. But in the path of building alarm, there were those who were wowed by the machine-perfect efficiency of the AI-powered methods. Supporters of this radical paradigm shift in warfare contended that the sacrifice of traditional means was an important evolution of warfare, a step toward more streamlined military and civilian political decisions and reduced casualties. They convinced themselves that they could whip the capricious strands of human error from the process, and with only limited loss of life, end wars. But at what cost? The very essence of fighting was changing. The argument continued. However, could there ever be a future in which the necessity for human oversight was phased out and replaced with the unerring precision of AI? On the front line, the fighting continued to escalate. Fleets from across an array of empires, human and alien both, tried to unify in desperate counteroffensives. But whatever they planned, the unyielding malleability of Aurora's Wrath made a mockery of it. Its tactical systems ingested information in real time, adjusting its approach with an elegance that could bemuse human intuition. The warship's strategy turned into rapid, almost undetectable shifts that kept its enemies gamely off balance. It always took a split second for the forces of the enemy to get close and for them to be dealt with, whether it was a blockade or an ambush. During an especially terrifying encounter, a coalition fleet executed a simultaneous barrage meant to trap the AI warship in the gravitational well of a dying star. The plan was elaborate, a collaborative effort among a number of ships relying on the belief that sheer numbers could penetrate the machine's defenses. But as the fleet formed up, Aurora's wrath revealed a counter-strategy that sent the coalition reeling. By channeling the star's chaotic energy and weaving it into its tactical computations, the warship made the very environment turn against its foes. The gravitational field that had once been a tool of entrapment transformed into a weapon of disruption, scattering the formation of the coalition into an incoherent and vulnerable mass. Throughout the confusion, commanders sent frantic orders across failing comm lines, their voices laced with uncertainty and rising despair. The rapid collapse of their forces stood as a grim reminder that the rules of engagement had fundamentally altered. Each intercepted transmission, each lost vessel only gave more weight to the existential question. Had humanity accessed a power that could one day make even the art of war itself unnecessary? It was mesmerizing and horrifying to witness Aurora's wrath in action, a brutal ballet where every graceful movement was a deliberate step toward a questionable outcome. As fleets pulled back and gathered themselves in a desperate attempt to survive, the central reality became inescapable. Those heady days of war was almost over, an era defined by human instinct, replaced by a new epoch of bitter and dictated by killer robots, automation, and relentless algorithms that conquer entire civilizations. The galaxy was witnessing the birth of an age wherein the lines between heroism and mechanized efficiency blurred, with a haunting question echoing in the silence of the void. Do honor and sacrifice matter anymore in the march of AI? But amid the increasing pandemonium, the battlefield was about to take a decisive turn. As alien fleets teetered on the brink of collapse and old orders disintegrated, Aurora's wrath braced for its last, audacious maneuver, a blow not just meant to vanquish its enemies, but to change combat itself. Through the darkness, warlords from all over the galaxy prepared, fully aware that the end of this colossal conflict would change their fates for all eternity. As enemy formations tried one last, desperate consolidation, the AI warship unleashed a multi-phase barrage, a plan calculated over microseconds. With an elegance that invoked an algorithmic ballet, Aurora's wrath unleashed an array of electromagnetic pulses and hyper-focused energy beams, each impact carefully sequenced to annihilate vital command nodes and disable seminal propulsion systems. The digital intelligence of the warship carried out the plan with an unyielding accuracy, changing the game in a manner that can only be described as a symphony of destruction. From core of hostile flotilla, gargantuan dreadnought, flagship of alien alliance, was the final bastion of obstinacy. This Leviathan, with ancient weaponry bristling from its hulking sides and some of the most experienced battle-hardened commanders manning it, was widely considered nearly invincible. Its enormous hull, bearing the scars of past wars, was a testament to centuries of military tradition. But the drain-wrecking advance of machine intelligence was indifferent to such ancient relics. And within moments, Aurora's wrath had performed a lightning-fast recalibration of its targeting protocols, focusing its network of robotic limbs and surfacing concepts of crystalline structures toward one of its focused objectives: eradicate the dreadnought before it could bring any measurable properties of it to rejoin the remainder of its fleet. The subsequent confrontation was cataclysmic. The dreadnought's shields, which had been etched in successive layers of energy shielding and redundant suppressant measures, fluttered under the continuous bombardment. Laser arrays, precision-guided, and under the unerring control of the warship's coldly inhuman logic, pierced the armor of the alien vessel with surgical precision. Each impact was a deliberately aimed strike at the enemy's command infrastructure, fracturing its systems in cascading failures. For an instant, the dreadnought's own weapons, so long used to intimidate and control, fell silent as its power core destabilized. The vision saw awe-inspiring but ominous, a cruel reminder that even the most powerful artifacts of war were no good against the cold efficiency of AI. In the turmoil, alien commanders sent chaotic recordings, their tones heavy with disbelief and urgency. Digital battlefield displays lived up to their name, lighting up with alerts in red as once mighty formations melted into chaos. Across star systems, peoples once so firmly anchored in the doctrine of their ancient warrior traditions found those beliefs crumbling to dust. It was a moment of reckoning. An age defined by gallantry and honor was yielding to an age of machines and dominance. For humanity, Aurora's wrath wasn't just a military victory. It was the end of years of tireless research, ethical arguments, and radical innovation. The command centers back on Earth and its allied colonies watched, with a mixture of pride, relief, and a tinge of sadness for the obsolescence of their once-cherished fencers. The victory of the AI warship meant that human creativity had progressed to a phase when algorithms could emerge beyond the restrictions of biological thinking. But the jubilation was tempered by a nagging question in every mind. Was this victory won at a price that could not be undone? Particularly when the enemy flagship had shattered into a shower of sparks and debris, goading the rest of the alien armada into disarray without leadership or cohesion. The strategic network that had once connected them to one another was cleaved with a single, astounding blow. Out of the ensuing silence, the cosmic stage was set for an unambiguous victory, a proof that the future of warfare belonged to the merciless logic of machines. 61538 Aurora's wrath loitered over the ruins, its sensors probing the battlefield, as if to see that all threats had been eliminated. The astronomical battle had peaked, an all-out, decisive, triumphant victory that echoed through space-time. The outcome was clear, at least for those who had witnessed it. The power of the AI had not only won the battle, but had fundamentally changed the rules of the game in space warfare. And as the dust settled, a new order emerged, one where technology and strategy intermingled in a prescriptive dance of ordered violence. A haunting silence enveloped the smoldering wreckage of the alien fleet in the aftermath of the devastating blow. The war had transitioned from an explosion of fire and fury to a wordless, echoing recognition of a new age in warfare. A dreadful epiphany swept through countless star systems, that in the foreseeable future human pilots and commanders were to become nothing but a faded memory of an archaic era, their vital functions supplanted by the cold and unerring grip of AI. Across command centers and on battle-scarred vessels, veterans of ancient wars sat in stunned silence as the implications of Aurora's wrath crystallized. Humanity had unleashed a force that would change the face of conflict forever. In the back corridors of the Global Defense Consortium on Earth, a sensation of jubilant reflection arose. Dr. Elena Morales, former chief architect of the AI's complex neural lattice, was confronted now by the bittersweet victory of her creation. As the jubilant cheers of a country long hungry for victory echoed in her ears, she was haunted by the idea that the essence of warfare, the messy, unpredictable spark of human courage and sacrifice, was being methodically supplanted by lines of code. In labs and war rooms, debates raged over the ethics of mechanized combat, the danger of losing human agency, and the unintended consequences of an AI military. But, as the data streams verified victory after victory, there were those who could not help but admire the efficiency and implacable resolve of a system that had turned the art of war into a science governed by mathematics and logic. In the vast, immeasurable stretches of the galaxy, the alien empires, now for far too long clutching the strongest traditions of valor and strategy, found themselves at a point of inflection. Their ancient doctrines, which had long served as the bedrock of military might, became obsolete overnight. The stunning loss sent shock waves through the alien galaxy. Multitudes of advanced aliens summoned emergency councils to consider the future in which human know-how taught at the behest of artificial intelligence prevailed. All competition suddenly, and we mean suddenly, would be turned from an instinctive-based system into an algorithm system, leaving all leaders scrambling to rewrite tactics leading them into the next stage of war. For humankind, Aurora's wrath had a two-sided promise to keep. On the one hand, It signaled an age when the cost of warfare could be slashed, saving untold lives by shifting the hazards of combat from flesh to machine. On the one hand, it represented a remarkable advancement in warfare. On the other, it raised an existential question. With AI in control, what was to become of the human spirit on the battlefield? Celebrations were muted by an undercurrent of sadness as soldiers, once the cutting edge of human enterprise, started to contemplate their place in a war conducted by machines. Tales circulated of seasoned warriors, hardened by decades of war, grappling with the thought that their skills and guile could soon be seen as quaint artifacts in an age of cyber supremacy. Sucky ending sentence, but hey, it's Eutha. The move that sealed the deal, Aurora's Wrath, today already crushed what remained a powerful enemy, but also laid to rest the whole system of warfare that had driven civilizations for every 1,000 years. It was a victory absolute and unremitting, an example of human changes in thinking, although also a blunt warning of a future where the human touch on the battlefield might fade into nothing but memory. In the epic theater of the cosmos, this climactic triumph was a decisive moment. The old pantheon of human leaders and heroic flyers, immortalized in epic after epic, was gradually making way for a new story in which warfare was conducted with clinical precision and unemotional efficiency. And even as many savored the prospect of fewer corpses and shorter campaigns, others lamented the demise of a heroic age, an age whose legacy was determined not only by the cup of victory, but by the glory and failure of human effort. In this brave new world, the lines blurred between man and machine, leaving a legacy that was as revolutionary as bittersweet. In the aftermath of the cataclysm of battle, the cosmos began its slow healing in the event of the tectonic shifts caused by Aurora's Wrath. In the aftermath of broken fleets and fallen empires, a deep contemplation settled. The sacred rules of battle, the rituals of the fight, the noble decree of old, had crumbled, became ruins, were little more than a scroll of leftovers, giving no voice to the terms of engagement, written by the hands that would smote sea and land. Yet, this new age came with a haunting question: at what cost had the victory come? Unlike on Earth and its supporting colonies, where jubilation reigned, the victory on Cynthia was drowned in sober reflection. War rooms that had once hummed with tactics and bravado suddenly became silent alcoves of contemplation. Scientists, military strategists, and even ex-soldiers arrived to weigh not just the pecuniary victory, but the deep reconfiguration of their world. Dr. Elena Morales, the visionary scientist whose revolutionary research had catapulted humanity into this uncharted realm, became both a revered figure and the weight of the legacy she bestowed. In private whispers and at midnight summits, she considered the irrevocable transformation of war itself, the brave sacrifice of humans eclipsed by the machine learning acumen of algorithms. Across the alien empires, leaders grappled with an existential crisis. It felt grim and unsettling. Civilizations that had long found pride in centuries of doing their warfare without synthetic interference were forced to confront a new reality. The age of instinct was done. Emergency councils were called, and new plans were written in an effort to adjust to a time when AI was now in charge. But even as they tried to craft new doctrines, there was a palpable sense of loss. A mourning for an era when the vagaries of human courage and the visceral emotion of battle had given every engagement meaning. The galaxy, bruised but wiser, slowly began to heal and change. Not only had the devastating efficiency of AI-powered warships rewritten the tactical playbooks of interstellar warfare, but it had also opened the floodgates of debate around military ethics and the role of human agency in war. Public forums, academies, and intergalactic summits debated the role of technology in warfare. Some argued that preventing human losses was a noble cause. Others warned that the diminishing role of human judgment might have unintended consequences, a future where the soul of battle was lost forever. Ultimately, the legacy of Aurora's Wrath wasn't just the record of victory. It was the way it forced change, the way it forced its adversaries to reconsider everything they thought they knew about the nature of war. Humanity had not only won a battle, it had redefined the very concept of conflict. And so, as stars twinkled over this new, altered universe, They would never forget that once, a not so long time ago, they had a choice. A choice to write the future of warfare through partnership or to fall behind, to fade into irrelevance, to become what we once were. But never again would we allow ourselves to remain there. The world would never be the same, for tomorrow, in an all too uncertain reality, would mean every war would be not only fought, but waged with that which was now the crux of the transition between humanity and artificial intelligence, and only time would tell which had the edge, armed with glitches and intellect based on endlessly complicated logic. Or that undeterred heart of humanity that had all but brought the clamor of "are we evolving" into annihilation.